Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and councillors and staff and those listening at home. Please be seated while Councillor Betts delivers the blessing. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Almighty God, creator of heaven and earth, as we commence our council meeting this evening, we ask that you would graciously grant us wisdom and insight as we weigh the issues before us. We pray that each of us might have a deep commitment to seeking what is best for our city and its residents. Grant us clarity of mind and a deep love for the people who will be affected by our decisions. As we are troubled by the ongoing war in the Middle East, in Ukraine and parts of Africa, may each of us make an extra effort to work towards our city being increasingly characterised by citizens living in harmony with one another, respecting each other as people, respecting each other's property and our communal property, and respecting each other's roles in the community. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Before we begin, I will acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. It is now 7 o'clock and I declare the meeting open. Announcement of visitors, there are none. I'll just read the disclaimer. Members of the public are cautioned against taking any action on council decisions on items in which they may have an interest until such time as they've seen a copy of the minutes of the meeting or have been advised in writing by city staff. Please note all council meetings are digitally recorded and live streamed on the city's YouTube channel except for confidential agenda items, during which time the live stream will be temporarily suspended. Record of attendance. Councillor Sajjad, Councillor Sislak and Councillor Adams all have a leave of absence, and Councillor Mason is an apology. Are there any disclosures of interest? Oh, Councillor Dewhurst attending online. Is he here? We're just trying to get Councillor Dewhurst online. What's the protocol? Do we wait or? No, just... We don't. The protocol is not to wait, so we'll proceed. Any disclosures of interest, councillors? No? Move on to the announcements of the presiding member. So, Art Week, congratulations to the Director for Community Engagement and the team for the art exhibition. I called in during the week and had a look. It looked amazing. So congratulations to the team, as well as congratulations to all the winners. And while we're talking about, well, we're not talking about volunteers, but it is Volunteer Week, I believe, this week. So congratulations and thank you to all of our volunteers in the city. Many of the councillors are volunteers as well, so well done to you all for that role. A special shout out to Jim Ridgewell. He is a member of the SES who has just been given his certificate for 45 years with the Gosnells State Emergency Service. So how great is that? As well as there were a number of other ones that have done like 30 and quite a long list to have a look at. But if anyone listening at home is interested, have a look on the Volunteer Bushfire Brigade website or the Gosnells State Emergency Service website to see all of those good people that have done good things. The CEO and I had a meeting today with the Minister for Planning, Mr John Carey. It was a positive meeting and he did sing praises for the city of Gosnells. I think he's just happy that there's no problems happening here that are in the media. So, but he was very complimentary. And yeah, so that was quite a productive meeting as far as he's supportive of a few of the things that we asked for, which is obviously to do with the Ops Centre, and we shall see how we go from here. So that is all I have. Moving on. Reports of delegates. Are there any? No? Question time for the public and the receiving of public statements. So question time. We have got some questions this evening. Lots of noises happening, but no. But anyway, we'll move on. Well, first of all, we'll have Tracy O'Neill. If you would like to come forward. Thank you, Tracy. Welcome, Councillor Dewhurst. Can you speak? Or is he...
Yeah, I can. I've got you. No problem. Thank you.
Washington and Tehran remains unclear. The US military says it is exercising restraint during the...
Well, this is what's happening over there. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I was away when the much anticipated Victoria Road closure finally rolled around, so on my return I was super excited to go down and check out the new Clifford Road extension. Looks really good, pretty lights, that sort of thing. As I exited the new extension, I duly followed the provided detour signs. I turned right and then right again at the next sign, went through to the big roundabout, and there the sign told me to turn right again, and then I saw the next detour sign directing me to turn straight back onto Bickley Road. Why did we spend $8 million securing the land for the Clifford Road extension and another $100,000 to terminate Victoria Road to discourage heavy vehicles from using Bickley Road if you're just going to direct those same vehicles straight back onto Bickley Road where they came from?
Thank you, and thank you for your question. I'll get the Director for Infrastructure, Mr Martin Glover, to answer your question.
Through you, Madam Mayor, our humble apologies to the residents out there. The city was advised yesterday that there was a mix-up with the signs. We have removed the offending detour sign, and I'm advised that it's now actually as it should be, not detouring everybody back on to Bickley Road.
Can I have a quick follow-up on that one? Where exactly are they being directed to?
Through Madam Mayor, the purpose of Clifford Road is to redirect traffic that would alternatively be going down Bickley and onto Victoria around the back and through Clifford onto Victoria. If trucks choose not to go that way to Clifford and instead come down Bickley and down to the roundabout and then back up and around Clifford and go all the way around, there's not much we can do about that.
I mean, on the return journey, when they come out of Clifford?
Through Madam Mayor, similar, they're as of right vehicles on a road reserve. We can only direct them to the water. We can't make them drink it.
I too was down on Bickley Road having a look at the confusion in the trucks when they got there and thought, where do I go? It's blocked off. But they worked out to keep going. So a few happy residents on Bickley Road for that.
A couple of unhappy ones on Kenwick. If the proposed rate increase of 5.5% happens, how much extra will the city collect in rates compared to last year?
Mr Bradbrook will respond to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That would equate to about an additional $4.6 million in rate revenue.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Next we have Brendan Cherry, please. Thank you, Brendan.
Thank you, Mayor Lyons. Got questions for everyone, so feel the love. Question one, do we know what dates are for the 2026 Fusion Festival at Mills Park in Beckenham?
I believe Director Blake will be able to respond to that, second week in November.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, although it would be presumptuous to set a date before the budget's adopted, so no date has been set.
Thank you, Director Blake. Question two, has there been any more offenders prosecuted in relation to illegal rubbish dumping?
Thank you. The Director for Business Services will respond. Thank you, Mr Bradbrook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm not sure when I gave Brendan the last update on this. We may have had one more go to court, but we have 28 potential prosecutions pending. So we should have some people receiving some prosecution notices in the post very soon.
Thank you, Director Bradbrook. Good news. Question three, can the CEO please advise if there is any update to the Council Depot at Maddington relocating elsewhere within the city, potentially freeing up land for potential housing to be built near the train station?
Thank you for your question. And the CEO, well, yeah, that's okay, Mr CEO. He's directed this so it runs across, so I shall not alter that course. Thank you, Mr CEO.
The Mayor and I did raise this point with Minister Carey today, and he fully understands the importance of trying to free up land for more productive use next to a train station, and was very supportive of us in terms of moving the depot, although the ultimate decision will be a state government decision, but it won't be his decision.
Thank you, Mr CEO. Question four, has the city received any applications for the land in Maddington bounded by Atfield, Blackburn and Herbert Streets, as that land has been sitting vacant for a number of years?
Thank you very much. The Director for Planning, Mr Lafort.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The lots number 3, lot 221, number 8, 223 and 9, lot 222, Corfu Way, are all owned by the state government, and the city has not received any development applications for development on that land.
Thank you, Director Lafort. And my last question, no doubt for Director Glover. Barrett Street, Southern River, between Balfour and Lakey had a 70k limit in January this year. I drove that road recently and noticed all the 70 signs were removed. So has the speed limit changed?
Thank you. And Mr Glover, Director for Infrastructure, have you got a response for that one?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. More of a good news story. The speed zone in Barrett Street was previously 70 kilometres per hour and could not be reduced until the slow points were installed. The installation of the slow points was delayed by the late installation of street lights for the length of the street. Once these lights were installed by Western Power, the slow points were installed by the city, and then Main Roads WA were able to amend the speed zone to 60 kilometres per hour, which it is now. And that means that this speed reduction project is finally completed. And I think I've given you a photograph of that that you can keep.
Thank you, Director Glover. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for your questions. We'll now move on to Mr Leon Walker. You've got a few questions as well. 7, Mr Walker. Very busy. Okay. We've got time, so you can ask your 7 questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. What proactive measures does the city have in place to identify and implement income streams other than rates or grants?
Thank you for your question, and Mr CEO will answer that.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The city's continually looking for commercial opportunities, particularly in relation to land, where the city has been very proactive in terms of developing land and making sure that we're not land banking land unnecessarily. And the most recent example is obviously Southern River Business Park, which has been fully sold and just about to be developed.
Thank you.
Thank
Your
you.
next question. Thank you. And
What-
Mr Glover's going to turn his microphone off first.
Oh.
Thank you. And as you were, thank you.
What proactive measures does the city have in place to identify and implement opportunities for cost savings through increases in efficiency and productivity?
Mr CEO's got his microphone on, so he's ready to answer that one as well.
I'm ready. Madam Mayor, again, the city's always looking for opportunities to increase efficiency and productivity, and we do that in a range of ways, and some of them are small ways, some of them are bigger ways. I suppose one of the examples that we looked at recently with councillors was new use of AI to classify and categorise trees. Which will provide the city with significant information about its tree stock, which we could have never got in any other way.
Thank you.
Next question.
Approximately by how much has the city decreased costs by increasing productivity or efficiency in the current financial year in terms of dollars or percentage?
Thank you, and Mr CEO will answer your question. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I'm not sure we can answer the question because many of the changes that we make aren't necessarily quantified specifically like that. So, for instance, if we reflect back on the tree example, what that's going to do is enable the arborists, and the city has 3 arborists, to be able to have a look at a screen rather than driving out to a tree when we get a complaint to see what the tree is, what it looks like. So that should effectively save some time, but how we actually categorise that, they might still have to go. It might enable them to say, look, this isn't a priority, but we can do it the next time we're doing a more general round rather than having a rush out there. Those things make us more efficient. Other examples are, years ago we would just deal with every request, say, to respond to an issue as they came in, whereas now we look to make sure that when we send people out, they're doing a group of inspections in the same area. That makes us more efficient, but we don't cost that to a dollar or a percentage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question.
What proactive measures does the city have in place to identify and implement opportunities for cost savings by the outsourcing of services?
Thank you, and Mr CEO is on a roll here, so we'll carry on.
Madam Mayor, when contracts which are outsourced are coming to an end, one of the things that we do as a standard is almost look to see whether we can do them better in-house. And indeed, a few contracted out services have been brought in-house as a result of that. But equally, we will continually look at our costs, and if we think the private sector's become more competitive or costs have shifted, then we might move to outsource some activities. So most recently, we were looking at whether we could bring, say, plumbing and electrical in-house, where we basically contract that work out, and we found that we weren't in a position where we could do it economically in-house, so we will still contract it out.
Thank you.
Okay.
What relevance do the proposed rates increases or decreases in other local governments have to the ratepayers of the City of Gosnells?
Thank you, Mr CEO.
Madam Mayor, they really don't have any significance other than that we like to benchmark ourselves against what others are doing. And historically, when Gosnells has set rates over the last 15 years, certainly we've been broadly one of the lowest of the outer metro growth councils that we tend to compare ourselves against. Certainly inner city councils can sometimes have lower rate rises, and that reflects the fact that they aren't being given new parks to maintain, new roads to care for. They lack the growth, so they don't have those cost pressures that we have.
Thank you. What consideration has been given to having an audit, risk and improvement committee shared with another local government as provided for in the Local Government Act?
Thank you, Mr CEO.
Madam Mayor, none.
Thank you. Your next, and I noticed that you've actually got 8 questions, not 7. I didn't see this last page, Mr. Walker. So carry on with your next 2 questions. Thank you.
What are seen as the advantages and disadvantages of having a shared audit, risk and improvement committee?
Thank you, Mr. CEO.
Madam Mayor, I think that the idea of a shared committee was identified principally for those small country local governments that might find it difficult to get external members. I think for City of Gosnells as the 6th largest local government, I think serving close to 150,000 residents now, I don't think we need to be in that position of sharing an audit committee chair or deputy to the chair.
Thank you.
Last question, Mr. Walker. Thank you.
In terms of improvements, what is the role of the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee?
Thank you. And Mr. CEO, you're on a roll. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, the terms of reference for the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee have I think, come before Council. And really, it's a new initiative of the state government to ensure that audit and risk committees look slightly more broadly at how local governments can improve their operations. And if you listen to John Kerry, there's a number that can, but we're not one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any public statements? There are public statements. The public statement from... Oh, come back, Mr. Walker. Thank you. Mr. Leon Walker, and it's on item 13.5.2 of the agenda, which is the 2026-27 differential rates and minimum rate. Thank you for your public statement, Mr. Walker.
I request that you vote against the staff recommendation in the interests of residents, ratepayers and electors of the City of Gosnells. The Local Government Act mandates that you act in the interests of these people. I believe that most of us understand that we are in the midst of a cost of living crisis, an excessively high rate of inflation. Some of the people of the City of Gosnells are doing it tough. Think of these people when casting your vote this evening. Consider the groups in the community whose support you enjoy. Think of those who voted for you. Think of those living at the margin in our community. The staff report states that, and I quote, an overall rate increase for the 2026-27 equivalent to inflation will be required to maintain city services, end quote. Is this accurate? With due to respect to the author of the report, I say that it is not accurate. I assert there are opportunities to decrease the dependence on rate income by identifying and implementing alternative income streams and by cost reduction through increased productivity and efficiency in the city's operations. The staff report is silent on these. I ask if there is arguably an attachment or slavish devotion to income from rates, coupled with an unwillingness or resistance to consider income from other sources. Do we need cultural change? I acknowledge that some increase in the city's income might be necessary to maintain essential services and projects. However, I assert that any increase in income does not have to be entirely derived from rates. I argue that the rate of inflation does not necessarily reflect accurately any increase in costs that might be faced by the city in the next financial year. This is because the rate of inflation is derived from increases in the prices of a basket of consumer items. I understand the major cost for consumers is the cost of housing, whereas the major cost for local governments is employee costs. I request you debate this item vigorously. Ask questions to satisfy yourselves that, without doubt, the proposed differential rates and the overall rate increase of 5.5% are necessary. Again, I request that you vote against the staff recommendation. Please act in the best interests of ratepayers in this matter. Finally, please be aware that this statement was written by me, not by a ghostwriter or writers, nor by artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. That brings us to the end of public statement time. So we'll now move on. And I do note that within the agenda here that your two questions, Mr. Walker, that you asked last fortnight, the responses are in there. Have you had a chance to see those? Okay, thank you very much. Councillors, you'll see those as well. We shall move on to the confirmation of minutes. Can I get a mover, please? Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillor Singh to second that. Councillors, any questions on this item? If you would like to cast your vote by show of hands, thank you. Thank you, that has been carried. Receiving of petitions and presentations. Are there any? No, thank you. Are there any applications for leave of absence? Nope. No questions of which due notice has been given. No items to be brought forward for the convenience of the public gallery. We move on to the reports of the committee meetings. Sorry, reports 13.1.1, the Strategic Projects Progress Report. Can I get a mover for this, please? Thank you, Councillor Dalton. Seconded by Councillor Betts. Councillor Dalton, any questions? Councillor Betts, has anybody else got any questions or debate on this item? No? Councillors, if you would cast your vote, please. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. 13.1.2, the City's Local Public Health Plan. Can I get a mover for this, please? Thank you, Councillor Islam. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Councillor Williamson. Would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Williamson, would you like to speak to this item? Would anybody else like to speak to the item? Councillors, if you would cast your vote, please. Thank you. That has been carried. 13.2.1, the development application for a fast food outlet at 115 Lot 102 Murdoch Road in Thornlie. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Dewhurst to move this and Councillor Zhang to second this. Councillor Dewhurst, would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Zhang, would anybody else like to speak to this item? Thank you, Councillor Betts.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I speak in support of the staff recommendation. Just point out to the rather humorous situation where the health report tells us that people in the city of Gosnells actually consume too much takeaway food, a greater percentage than the rest of the Greater Perth area. So we probably don't actually need another takeaway one, but free enterprise, I support their right to build one, and it's supposed to be Mexican food, so perhaps it's healthy food, who knows. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Any further comments on this item? No? Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote, please. Thank you. That has been carried. Moving on, 13.2.2, the Draft Modified Local Planning Policy 2.6, Display Homes and Land Sale Offices Final Adoption. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Singh to move this and seconded by Councillor Dalton. Thank you, sorry. Councillor Singh, would you like to speak to this item? Councillor Dalton? Anybody else? No? Thank you. If you would like to cast your vote. Thank you. That has been carried. No infrastructure items, no community engagement items. Moving on to 13.5.1, the panel for O2 2026 Civil Works. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Islam to move this, Councillor Lloyd to second this. Councillor Islam, Councillor Lloyd. Any debate on this, councillors? If you would please cast your vote. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. 13.5.2, the 2026-27 differential rates and minimum rates. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Betts to move this, seconder. Councillor Dalton to second this. Councillor Betts, would you like to speak to this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The staff recommendation, oops, was it 5%, was it? I'm just
5.5.
5.5, yeah. The staff recommendation is to advertise the rate increase as 5.5%. And I know there's a lot of talk about cost of living crisis, etc. But the reality is that the average rate that a residential property pays is just under $1,600. And if you do a 5.5% increase, that works out at roughly $80 for the whole year. So that is barely, it's not even $1.50 a week extra. So it is a minuscule amount. And when people say some people are doing it tough, say pensioners, for example, pensioners actually get a 25% rebate on their council rates anyway, but pensions are actually indexed. So the pensions go up every year by the percentage that the consumer price index has gone up. And as a person who actually gets a old age pension, I don't expect to get an increase just for the fun of it, but it's to allow me to pay for the increased other costs that other things go up. That's the reality. And I think one of the speakers here in the public statement talked about the CPI doesn't reflect necessarily the costs that the city encounters, but the reality is that there are some certain things which the city needs to purchase, which is way above the CPI, like bitumen, gone up, I think, 30% for a while, or 20%, something like that, way above the CPI. So if we would increase our rates less than by CPI, we are going to have to significantly curtail the good things we've been doing as a council, as a city. When the park staff run behind a little bit and the park doesn't get mowed as regularly or as quickly as it perhaps should do in spring because everything's growing, people complain. Well, hang on a minute, you can't have good services by cutting costs. The wages of our staff, the EBA, 4% wage increase. We've got to get that money from somewhere. And so I support the 5.5%. Inflation may be a little higher, but it at least gives us something that we can work with. If inflation ends up being more, we can always pull back some things, but I believe that it's a realistic figure, and I believe that while there are some people doing it tough, no question about it, I'm still old enough to remember when interest rates on mortgages were 17%. They went from 8% to 17% over a fairly short period of time, and many people were really doing it tough and lost their houses, their businesses, etc. So, yeah, people are doing it tough, or some people are doing it tough, but by the same token, I would put it to you that there's a very big part of our community that's doing very, very nicely. Thank you very much. I feel for those that are struggling, but I don't believe that those that own a house to have to pay an extra roughly $1.50 a week is going to make a huge difference to their well-being. Whereas if the city were to cut back on its services significantly, I believe that would have more negative impact on people than having to find an extra $1.50. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. The seconder was Councillor Dalton. Would you like to speak to this item? Thank you.
I'm also in support of...
Thank you.
I'm also in support of the staff recommendation on the same grounds as pretty much what Councillor Betts has stipulated, and that is that I think as a city we're trying to mature and we're trying to get to a place where we can be proud of the services that we provide and lift ourselves up into being oh, I forgot my train of thought. But anyway, I am supportive of the 5.5 because I believe it is going to allow us to continue running the services that we've budgeted for and the capital works programs that we've budgeted for. And I do believe that if it does go higher, that the admin team are all looking at how they can pull back and work on different projects or push projects aside. But I think if we are looking at going lower, then we are definitely going to have to be cutting a lot of services. So I'm in support of the 5.5 because I think it's probably about where we're going to land on inflation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Dalton. Councillor Dewhurst, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, thanks very much for the other councillors speaking there. Totally agree. I don't actually support the 5.5. The reason being is that I'd like to see it at, at 3 or at 2, but the fact is it's necessary. And I think other councillors will agree with that as well. That I don't think they support it either. I think they support the fact that it's actually necessary that we need to have good management and good services. Now, for the past 10 years in council and budget time, we've been slashing, cutting, tightening up, and in particularly for the last 7 years, I've seen many things happen within the city where we needed to tighten our belts. And quite frankly, I don't think we can tighten our belt anymore unless we want to drop our services. And I don't know what services they'll be. I'm not going to just sit here and guess and fearmonger anybody, but it's come to the stage now where we're going to have to look at our services, what we do or what we don't provide. I mean, I'm just looking at some of our contracts. Look at our gardening contract. People picking up our waste and that. I mean, we've gone for lower services, and it's come to bite us back. So I think that we need to be looking at a realistic and be mature here, because if we go under the CPI, right, next year is going to be even harder, and you're going to have to put the rates up even more. We have been very, very mature as a organisation by keeping the rates as low as we can, by tightening our belt, but we can't say the belt doesn't tighten anymore. So therefore, look, I'm going to put an amendment up, and the amendment's not going to be very probably well accepted, but I'll give it a crack. But please consider what we're saying tonight is we're not adopting anything at all. All this is about saying, well, we've got our number here based on whatever facts, and then we go out to public comment, and we can go talk to people, and we can have a really good look at the budget over this time. Sorry, my thing has just dropped out. Yeah, we can have a look at this over the time, and we might be able to get it down to 4%. But anyway, I would like to, if possible, to read out my amendment.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, our councillor Dewhurst proposed the following: that the staff recommendation be amended such that proposed rates in the dollar are advertised with an increase of 5.8% for the following reasons. Costs continue to rise across the board, and I think we need to be realistic about the financial pressures of the city is facing. CPI to the end of March was 4.6%, up 0.9% from February, with expectations that it will continue to rise. Some economists are forecasting May CPI could be 6.3 and June could be 6.5. We're continuing to see increases in fuel, energy, insurance, maintenance, contractor and construction costs. These pressures are flowing directly into local government operations and capital works. For me, this is about making sure we give council enough flexibility during the budget process to deal with those increases properly, rather than ending up later in the financial year doing budget variations, delaying projects or cutting work programs to make the numbers work. Importantly, advertising 5.8% does not mean council is locked into adopting 5.8. We can still reduce the final figure after community consultation and once updated CPI figures are available. But if we advertise too low now, we limit our options later without having to restart the statutory process. I'd seek a seconder if possible, Madam Mayor.
Councillors, do we have a seconder for Councillor Dewhurst's amendment? We don't have a seconder, Councillor Dewhurst.
That's all right. I gave it a crack, as I said. I didn't think it was going to be popular.
Thank you, councillor Dewhurst. Is anybody else wanting to speak to this item? Councillor Islam.
Madam Mayor, can I ask a couple of questions for clarity first before I speak?
Yes, thank you.
First question is, does the rate notice contain three elements? One is the rates, state emergency services levy, and also waste fees and services.
Thank you for your question. I believe it does. And yep, thank you. Yes.
Yep. And then follow-up question on this: do we know what is the rate or what is the increase of the other two elements?
Thank you, councillor. Thank you, director. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. At the moment, excuse me, the city is proposing an increase in the waste fee of 4%, and I understand that the ESL will be, the increase will be about 5%.
Do we know what is the dollar value for an average property?
For the waste fee, so the waste fee will go to about $431, up from $415 in the current year.
$16.
It's about $26.
16.
$16. The ESL, I think, a property would probably be around a little under $400 for the ESL, so a 5% increase on that would take it up $20 to $420.
Okay, so it's all together, then it will be over $120 a week. No, it's $120 for each property.
That's 36.
Increase?
I got
126.
$36.
136.
No, $36.
No, all together. So.
Are you talking about the rate as well?
Yeah, rate increase as well as other two elements as well. So it'll be
116.
116. Yep. Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I would like to put an amendment. My amendment is I, Councillor Saiful Islam, propose the following: that staff recommendation be amended by the addition of the following part. That Council requests the CEO to provide it with a draft 2026 and 27 budget that details all proposed revenue and expenditure to assist Council to determine whether any increase to differential rates and the minimum rate can be reduced below 5.5% prior to the final adoption of the budget, with the draft budget listed for discussion at the next available workshop. For the following reason. When preparing a household or private business budget, people always look at how much money they have available before deciding what they can afford to spend. They make difficult choices, reduce spending when necessary, and focus on what matters the most. Council should apply the same common sense approach when setting the city's budget. Over the past few weeks, many of us have taken part in budget workshops and presentations with the understanding that the proposed rate increase for 2027 year would be around 3.9%. While this was already a concern for many residents, we were advised at last week's workshop that proposed increase may now rise to 5.5% due to CPI being 4.6%. I acknowledge the financial pressures facing the city. However, our residents are also experiencing the same pressures every day, with rising costs in housing, groceries, utilities, and insurance. Most households can't simply increase their income to match these pressures. Instead, they adjust spending, delay non-essential purchases, and prioritize essentials. Had Council been made aware earlier that a 5.5% increase was being considered, I believe many elected members would have requested a more detailed review of expenditure to identify savings and reduce the impact on ratepayers before considering such an increase. The city delivers many important services, some of which are required by law and others that are discretionary. Now, before asking residents to absorb a 5.5% rate increase during a cost of living crisis, Council has a responsibility to review discretionary spending, non-essential projects, and operational costs to ensure every dollar is being spent wisely and responsibly. If after the review, Council determines that all current services and projects must continue unchanged, then a higher rate increase may be justified. However, we should first determine that our community can realistically afford and align spending accordingly.
You're seeking a seconder?
Please.
Seeking a seconder? Councillor Lloyd, thank you. You speak to the item now? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I guess, look, it's the common sense we have heard from my fellow elected members is services can't be reduced, can't be cut. I guess things can be cut if it's not legislated. And some services can be cut or reduced, it based on communities' affordability. So just based on this, I ask my fellow councillors to reflect not only on the financial pressures facing by the city, but also on those faced by the community we represent, and support a more informed and responsible decisions-making process by first considering the full draft budget before determining any rate increase. And I request for everyone's support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillor Lloyd is the seconder. Would you like to speak to this amendment?
Yeah, I will. One of the things for me that was the standout was we originally all went through these budget discussions on that 3.9%. And then suddenly last Tuesday, the number 5.5 came out for the first time. And one of the questions I sent to one of our staff, I think it was a couple of days ago, was, well, if we were to say sit on that 4%, what would we be losing? What would be the cuts that would have to happen? And the response that came back to me said that the appetite from elected members wasn't to cut these services, wasn't to cut events like Fusion or the other ones that we discussed. But I think that had that 5.5% number been floated through those discussions, that appetite may have been there. We all were, until last Tuesday night, had that figure in our head of 3.9%. So I think that what Councillor Islam is suggesting just gives us more scope to go back and have those thoughts and those discussions again, because I know myself, I already was, in a lot of my responses to those potential cuts, was like, oh, this one can stay if everyone else is okay with it, and maybe we can consider this one. But I certainly, even myself, would have been scrutinising it a lot harder had I known that 5.5% was on the table. So for that reason, I'll be supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Would anybody else like to speak to this amendment? Thank you. And Deputy Mayor and then Councillor Dewhurst. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in support of Councillor Islam's amendment. I think both Councillor Islam and Councillor Lloyd have outlined the reasons why we should have another look at the budget. Up until last week, we thought it was 3.9%, and all of our feedback was based on that. So I think while we don't want to reduce service levels, we may look differently at particular areas that could be reduced or change the way in which we do something. So I think it's worth going back to have a look at the budget, see which areas could be reduced if CPI is higher, and see if we can bring that rate down below the 5.5%. So I support it going out to advertising, but I support the amendment to have another look at the budget.
Thank you. Councillor Dewhurst, you were next.
Yeah, look, I support the amendment as well. But I'll just ask a question. Would we not look at the budget again anyway? I mean, even before we make our final decision, is that not our role as councillors and as staff? Were we going to go to a workshop again to talk about this if we asked the CEO, or was it going to happen anyway?
My understanding, I can answer that, is my understanding is we wouldn't have been having a workshop on the budget unless this amendment goes through, which is standard for going forward. You would obviously have the opportunity at the council meeting for adopting the budget to debate things there, but we wouldn't be doing another workshop on it.
Okay, I suppose if there was enough people concerned about the budget, they probably would have had a workshop. But hey, let's do it. Let's do this amendment. Totally support it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Betts, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I really can't see the value of this amendment. The difference between 3.9% rate or 5.5, if my maths is correct, it makes 50 cents a week difference in the rates. And I just wonder whether it's really worth putting the staff to all that work and doing all that when if we pass the 5.5, which if inflation ends up being less than 5.5, we'll pull it back to what the inflation level is, and that would hopefully allow us to do most of the things If the cost of bitumen and some of those things continue to be at a elevated price, and PVC pipe and all that, because it's all gas and oil related with the Middle East situation, there will have to be some cutbacks in the projects that we do, but I really just think for 50 cents a week, it's really, a bit of a waste of time. Thank you.
Councillor Betts, I'm happy to support support of your amendment, Councillor Islam. Look, I don't think it matters. I don't think it. We know this is just a proposed increase, and we can pull it back. And I believe the staff have done everything they have done to pull the budget apart. I'm not sure that we're going to be able to find anything else, but happy to have this workshop on it just to see. They're erring on the side of caution just in case. And I understand that councillor is a bit concerned that we were starting at 3.9%, and that seems to have gone higher, but we have to remember this is a different world that we're living in at the moment, and there's a lot of unpredicted things happening. So I don't have an issue with the staff coming forward with the 5.5%, knowing that we are in a position to bring that back down if we need to, or if we can, which we'll obviously be doing everything we can to do that. So I'm happy to support this. I don't think another workshop on the budget is not going to hurt anyone. Someone might learn a little bit more, so I have no issue with supporting your amendment, Councillor Islam. Is there any further debate? Otherwise, Councillor Islam be closing. Thank you. We'd like to close. Councillor Islam, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to clarify to Councillor Levis' question about 3.9 and 5.5. I guess in my amendment, I'm not talking about 3.9 or 5.5% at all. I'm talking about, and have a look at let's take another opportunity to have a look at the budget, see if there is a way we can reduce some of our spending. That's very much it. I guess I request everyone to support my amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Islam. Councillors, if you would like to cast your vote on the amendment. Thank you. Thank you. That has been carried with 2 opposing. Thank you. Now we put the amendment back with the original item. Is there any further debate on the original item? Deputy Mayor, Councillor Williamson. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to move another amendment that reads, I, Councillor Williamson, propose the following, that the staff recommendation be amended by adding the additional parts. The numbering will change because Councillor Islam's has been supported. That Council requests the CEO to A, advertise the City's proposal to increase rate revenue by 5.5% on the City's corporate and public notices Facebook pages, in the Examiner newspaper and all City newsletters, excluding youth-focused newsletters, with all notices to include a link to required statutory information and public submission details on the Your Say page. B, develop an online submission form for ratepayer feedback and make printed submission forms available at all libraries and customer service locations. C, advertise that written submissions will be accepted via the City's email address. D, publish the draft operating budget and capital works program intended to be funded through the proposed 5.5% rate increase on Your Say. The next part that I request is that Council requests the CEO to determine what changes to the community events and services budget would be required to limit any rate increase to 4%, with the focus on reducing expenditure on events and services that are unlikely to disrupt residents' regular routines, such as large annual events, heritage services, grants or subscriptions. And part 3, with the options detailed in part 2, presented at an elected member workshop prior to the closing date for public submissions on the proposed rate increase. For the following reasons, as rate increases directly impact all property owners as a fixed household cost, it is reasonable to request the City utilises its regular communication channels for advertising proposed rate changes to maximise community awareness and the opportunity for feedback. Increasing advertising beyond the minimum statutory requirements supports transparency and informed community participation prior to the adoption of the final budget. As As Council is aware of the cost of living pressures affecting our residents, it is fiscally responsible to request the draft budget be reviewed to carefully determine specific operating cost savings that could minimise the financial impact on residents while still delivering a balanced budget without compromising core responsibilities, existing service levels, public safety responsibilities, or passing on capital expenditure to future ratepayers. To minimise disruption to our residents' routines and expected community standards, it's reasonable to request the CEO focuses cost-saving options on infrequent events or services in an effort to reduce the impact of council rates on household budgets.
Sorry, seeking a seconder, Councillor Lloyd to second that. Deputy Mayor, you can speak to your item, thank you.
Thank you, councillors. So this amendment is similar to Councillor Islam's. Councillor Islam asked for a broad focus review of the budget. This one here has two separate purposes. So while we're doing that broad focus, this helps narrow down the more discretionary areas within our budget. I think it's really important to focus the CEO's attention on areas that we know will not impact day-to-day life or routines for our residents, that we know are not going to change the way someone's living their life, the way they're walking around their neighbourhood, or how they're connecting with people in the community. I take on board Councillor Abetts' comments that the rate increase is minor in dollar cents or cents terms when you break it down. But when households are facing cost increases in every single area of their life, the cumulative effect can have a really big impact onto the homeowners. Households with fixed incomes can't easily come up with that extra money, and because a rate notice is a compulsory notice to all property owners, our ratepayers do not have any discretion over paying that or not paying it. It's essential that they do pay it. So I think for us as councillors, it means that we should have another look at this, and it's only fair and reasonable that we tackle some of the tough choices within our budget, because there is the current economic climate which is unstable. And I guess the other part of it is to maximise the transparency and the opportunity for our community to be involved in this process and to understand how rates are set and where their money will be going and what they're contributing to. And I think it's really important to go above the minimum statutory advertising requirements, because when we look at what is the minimum requirements, it doesn't make sense to many people. There are not many people in the community that would be able to tell from that table in our agenda what is the impact on them, what is the impact. They wouldn't be aware. So I think breaking it down into the 5.5% rate revenue explains that. If we have the draft budgets going out, we show where is your money going, because the community is actually part of this council. It's their money is what's driving and paying for all these services. So I think it's really important that we don't cut costs that are going to shift costs into other areas. So we're not shifting costs into for a future council. We're not cutting costs expecting someone in the not-for-profit sector to pick up on what we've cut out. So for that reason, but to sum it up, the amendment is really about improving the transparency, to strengthen the community engagement and demonstrate that we are trying all avenues to keep our rate increases as low as possible without having a detrimental effect on our community's everyday life. So I ask for you to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. As a seconder, Councillor Lloyd, would you like to speak to this item?
I want to first applaud Deputy Mayor Williamson for adding in the parts about the advertising, because it's one of the things I didn't think of. And that's awesome, because what I notice is that when we do advertising, so many people come afterwards, I don't know if the other elected members hear it, and they say, I didn't know anything about this. And then one of the things when about a year ago, I noticed we had a separate Facebook page for these types of announcements, and it used to have 70 followers on it until I shared it, and now it has 280. But it's still only this little pocket that we were advertising it on. We weren't advertising it on our broad Facebook pages. We weren't doing big ads in the paper. We weren't really, in my opinion, actually letting people know what was going on. And I think another reflection of that advertising is with our annual electors meeting. I constantly hear people don't show up to this, but then everybody tells me they don't even know anything about it. So I think that's one of the first things I wanted to highlight, is that this added advertising and stipulative advertising is really, really important. And I think that's a great area. Also in section number 2 on the 4%, when I saw Councillor Williamson was putting that up, I thought, oh, great minds, because I asked a very similar question myself of the staff through email to identify those areas, that if it was to be 4% and talking about those extra splurge things that maybe we wouldn't have to do, what would be the effect on that? And so yes, I completely agree with that part too. I think we're already agreed with Councillor Islam that we were going to come back to a workshop, so this would just be another thing that's added and discussed in that. So based upon that, I am happy to support this in its current form. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lloyd. Would anybody else like to speak to this amendment? Councillor Betts, thank you.
Perhaps more a question. If people are going to comment on the, or we invite them to comment on the rate increase, would it be possible to include in that question what area they would, if they are unhappy with the increase, where would they want the cuts to be made, that their lawn, the park only be mowed every 2 weeks in spring rather than weekly, or that we pull back on Southern Park redevelopment, or where do they want the money to be saved? It's all very well for people to say we don't want a rate increase, but we need to know where do they want the money to be saved, because the 4% the EBA that our staff increase salary, we can't change that. It's as simple as that. So people need to, I believe if people want to say they want lower rate increase, they need to specify what they want us to save money on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Any further debate on this item? Councillor Islam and then Councillor Dewhurst.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I thank Deputy Mayor Sandy Williamson for her amendment. I like that. Firstly, this is not about cutting cost of services. This is about having a look, or having another opportunity to see where we can cut our spending if it's an opportunity there. So I request everyone to support our amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dewhurst?
Yeah, look, I actually, Councillor Betts has sort of twigged a bit of a spark here. I think we actually should go out to the ratepayers and say, where would you like us to, not cut our services, as Councillor Islam said, but perhaps where do we need to make our savings, and see what realistically comes out, because, I mean, basically it's going to affect them. If we reduce our spending, it's going to affect them, so why not let them have the choice? Well, either make the suggestion, I should say, where it should be done. So I'm not sure if Councillor Williamson would like to put that into an amendment. If not, Councillor Betts, if you'd like to bring that up as an amendment, or if not, I will.
Thank you. Do you need an amendment on that? Okay. We can just Mr. CEO says that they can just do it, and we don't need an amendment for it, because that could just be pictured, that should be captured in the Your Say page with just a questionnaire that goes with it. If you're happy
that's
with
absolutely fine.
Happy with that?
Yeah, definitely happy with that. And thanks very much for raising this, Councillor Williamson. And yeah, I look forward to the task of going through it all.
Thank you. I'm happy to support this. I do want to make a couple of comments in those, that I know that sometimes when we have the city Facebook pages, there seems to be a trend of people coming on with made-up names and anonymous, and I would encourage the city to delete those comments, because sometimes they're just enraging, and maybe we should develop a policy to allow the staff to be deleting them. There's a lot of that going on at the moment, so that's a little bit concerning. Have no problem with all of this, with it going out. I would imagine some of this we would already be doing, but this just expands it. With question 2, is the CEO and the staff did come to us with a list of items if we wanted to cut them. And none of us said we wanted to cut them. So they have done some of that work already, so I imagine that that's going to be a little bit of resending that out and saying, well, what do you want to cut again? So I think that with that decision maybe could be made a little bit easier from the Your Say page with that feedback if the community wants things like that cut. But I do know that the staff did give us a list of things with the costing on it of what we wanted to cut, and no one said they wanted to cut any of those because they affect someone in our community. So it doesn't matter. Sorry, Councillor Lloyd, just shaking your head. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you did say you wanted to cut something. Okay, well, you're welcome to speak after me if you like. But to my recollection is the majority of people didn't say they wanted to cut anything. So thank you for providing all that. And I guess just send that again, and then obviously looking at grants and subscriptions there. But everything you cut is going to affect someone. So there's going to be pushback from someone. Someone's going to be unhappy, and don't know who that is, but we shall see. So happy to support this amendment. I know the staff have done all they can. I hope they've done all they can to reduce things, and yeah, happy to support the amendment and see how we go. Councillor Lloyd, you'd like to? Yes, thank you. Are you aware?
Oh, I just wanted to clarify.
Yes.
Based on, we were talking about letting the community know that we could cut from certain areas. Can we be a bit more specific? Because if we just say events or infrastructure, can we list Fusion Festival, $500,000, this much, that much? Because I think one of the things I'm finding is that the community didn't know that the 2-day festival costs $500,000. And I think we need to be as specific about what those things cost. So heritage, this much money, the same things that we're being offered, because I think if you just say broadly events, people might be like, oh no, not our sausage sizzle.
Of course.
Excellent.
Yeah. Any further debate on this item? Councillor Deputy Mayor Williamson, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to thank councillors for their comments this far in the debate, and thank Councillor Abetz for raising that option. I did imagine that would be included on the online submission form, that there would be an option for what could be cut. And I think the Part D of it, part of that intention was to provide that financial information to the community so they actually know what was proposed, and that would give them information to actually have a meaningful submission, to identify what areas could be reduced or rather than cut completely, because I think that's the thing. It's people are at home and they are considering what they're buying in their weekly shop, whether they're buying meat 2 nights a week or do they need to cut it down to once a week. They're looking at whether they can go to the movies twice a year or maybe just once a year, or maybe they have to forego that altogether. So I think people are making those decisions each week on what they have that power to make. But when it comes to rates, we have a lot of discretionary services, and I think hearing from our community will really give us that information to be able to make a decision if we do need to make that decision to reduce, to limit the rate increase. And I think, yes, we have all given our personal opinions to staff, and staff have done everything possible in laying out all the information and reining in as much as they can cost-wise. But I think if there is a tough decision, the more information we have available back from the community will help us if we need to make that tough decision. So I ask you to support this amendment, and hopefully the CPI doesn't go too high, and we can actually bring it down to at least the 4%, but we will see. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. We'll now put that amendment back with the original item. Councillors, if you could please cast your vote. No, we haven't voted on it yet. We're going to vote on it first. Thank you, councillors. If you'd like to cast your vote on that amendment, thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. We'll now go back to the original item. Who's the mover of the original item? Okay. Peter and Kylie have spoken to that. Is there any further debate on the original item? I just wanted to add that I do think that the staff have given us opportunities to cut things if we wanted to, but always, as I said before, it's going to affect someone. So it's hard to make that cut knowing that there are going to be people in our community that are not going to have something that they had once before. So I think the staff have done a good job, and if you look at what we are actually going to be raising by that 5.5% increase, if that's what it is, it comes out to 4.8 million, I believe, is what we were told earlier. And of that, 2.8 million was staffing costs. So unless we want to cut services, we're not really going to cut staff, or we will be cutting services by doing that. So what you're left with is $2 million across this massive empire, this massive city, to work out what you're going to cut with that 2 million. It doesn't leave much left, and I know that people want to cut, but it's not a lot left to cut. So I'd just be wary of where we're going to find these cuts from without making some absolutely brutal decisions, and someone's not going to be happy with that. Probably lots of people won't be happy if we get to that point. So thank you, staff, for all the work that they've done in the background of doing all the budgets and trying to cut here, there and everywhere. It's been a big task, so congratulations to them on getting to this point. And that's all I have to say on the matter at the moment. Thank you. Would anybody else like to say anything before Councillor Betts closes the debate? Councillor, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Look, I'm thankful that we've stuck with the 5.5 as in the motion, and some extra scrutiny, I guess, never does any harm. My only concern still will be that a lot of people are just busy with life. They don't go on Facebook. You know, we've got 140,000 residents in this city. If we get 200 people saying, oh, you know, we want to get rid of, I don't know, fusion or whatever it is, does that really reflect the wish of the city? That's one of the real problems of this kind of public consultation. You know, people that are busy with work and with their raising their family, involved taking their kids to footy and all that sort of thing. How many of those people have time to spot the notice in the Examiner, or will take the time to go on to have your say on Gosnells? It's just one of those real difficulties. So in the end, I think the buck will still stop with us as councillors. We're going to have to make the decision which we think is actually the best for the city, and not be swayed by just because 200 people might respond and they're all, if you like, the whingers, the ones that are perhaps doing it tough. But the reality is we have a whole city to look after. Yeah, I'm good at whinging too. So I think we're all good at whinging at times. So I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. But
I think maybe move on.
Yeah, okay. So I think we've covered it sufficiently, so I'll leave it at that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Betts. Councillors, if you cast your vote, this is with the two amendments together with the original item. If you cast your vote, thank you. Thank you. That has been carried with one not supporting. Thank you. Okay, we shall move on to item 13.5.3, the tender for 01/2026 plumbing and gas maintenance services. Can I get a mover? Councillor Dewhurst to move that, seconded by Councillor Zhang. Is there any questions or debate on this item, councillors? No? If you would like to cast your vote, thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Financial activity statement 13.5.4, which is the financial activity statement for April 2026. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Islam to move this, Councillor Singh to second this. Any questions or debate, councillors? No, if you would like to cast your vote, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Chest. 13.5.5, the payment of accounts for April 2026. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Dewhurst, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Dalton. Thank you. Any questions or debate on this, councillors? No. If you would like to cast your vote, thank you. Thank you. That has been carried. Thank you. 13.5.6, the appointment of the panel to recommend preferred independent member for appointment to the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. Can I get a mover for this, please? Councillor Islam to move this, Councillor Zhang to second this. Would you like to speak to this item, Councillor Islam? Councillor Zhang, would you like to speak to this item? Would anybody else like to speak to this item? And just for the audience, the recommendation is that staff appoints the Mayor, the Deputy Mayor and Councillor Islam to a selection panel to make recommendations to Council in relation to the appointment of an independent presiding member and independent deputy of the presiding member to Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee. So there will be 3 on that committee. If this goes through, councillors, if you would like to cast your vote, thank you. That has been carried. There are no motions of which previous notice has been given, no urgent business, no confidential matters, and I declare the meeting closed at 8:06. Thank you very much, everyone in the audience, and to those listening at home, and councillors, safe travel home. Thank you.